Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let's start part 3 video of test set integration between UiPath Test Manager and Azure DevOps. Okay, if you do miss my earlier videos of test case integration and installation of the Tasktop, I will pin those particular links under this particular video description. Kindly please go through the video, go through those particular videos before continue to watch this one. So without a delay, let's start the video. Let's start the model creation. Before creating the model in the Tasktop, let's understand what are the fields are being present in UiPath Test Manager as well as in ADO test suite. Okay, so after understanding these particular fields, we can create the model and create the model. So let's see. Right now I'm in UiPath Test Manager project. My project name is a Tasktop training. Okay, where I'm just going to create one test set. So when I'm clicking on create test set, what are the fields it has been displayed? Name, description, and labels. Okay, so let's make a note. Okay, make a note under UiPath Test Manager. What are the fields are there? Name, description, and label. I do have these three fields. Okay, let's create here. Let's name this one as test set created in UiPath. Okay. So let's keep the description as same test set created in the UiPath description. Okay. Let's create. I'm not giving anything in the label. Okay. These are the two fields are there. Let's create. Okay. It's created. Okay. So if I want to create a test set in UiPath Test Manager, I just required only the two fields called name and description. That's we understand. Let's go to the ADO. Let's go to the ADO. So this is another project in my ADO where I'm in one of my test plan. So see, my test plan name is Plan B, the Plan B. If I go back, so Plan A and Plan B. Okay. So I'm creating my test set. I'm creating my test set and my Plan B test plan. Okay. So let's see if I want to create any test suite. Okay. New static suite. Okay. Let's open it. Let's open the fields. So what are there? Here we go. We have a title. Okay. This is a title. Okay. Let's name this one as test set in ADO. Let's name it as a test set in the ADO. Okay. ADO. And what are the other fields are there? State is there, area, iteration, and description and discussion. So there are certain fields are there. Okay. So to create a test suite in ADO, what are the mandatory fields which we require? One is the state, I think. One is the state. Another one is the title and area and iteration part. These are the mandatories. Whereas in UiPath, only the name is a mandatory field. Okay. So let's make a note. Make a note. So in ADO, what are the fields are there? Title. I have a title of the test set. Title of the test set. And the second one is state. And the next one is area. And the next one is iteration. So all these are mandatory. All these are mandatory. Title is mandatory. And state is mandatory. And area is mandatory. Iteration is also mandatory. Okay, the description is not a mandatory, but still we can make a note of this particular description as well because description. Okay, it's description. Okay, if you see, I'm just giving test set in the ADO and clicking on the save and close. So my test set is being created. Okay, so now another thing. Okay, so if you want to understand under this particular test set, we have one more thing, one more concept is also called assign the test cases. So what is a test set? The uh, definition of the test set is like to group the test cases, right? So here your test set act as a parent and test cases acts as a child. Even in if you observe this particular diagram, in this particular diagram, where you can see the test set is act as a parent and test case is act as a child. So this is the relationship between test set and test case. Okay. So one test case contains n test cases, right? One test set contains n test cases. So meaning here the relationship between the test set and test case is one to many. One to many. And why we are discussing, I will let you know. So why we are discussing this particular one. So whenever I assign the test cases in the test set, the same set of the test cases has to get assigned under this particular test set in the ADO, right? For this one, in the task tab, we come up with a one of the data type called relationship. Relationship, that the relationship. So if the test set is a parent, what is the test case? The test case act as a child. Each parent contains n number of the childs. So the meaning, if you want to synchronize whatever the test cases is being present. So the meaning here, if I have a test case, let's see. Here I have a test case called test case created in the ADU. If I do assign, this particular test case to this test set, the same test case needs to get assigned in the ADO also. So it needs to be get assigned to ADO also. How it should looks like? So if I click on the add existing test case, so where if I run this particular query, so this is the one, add test case. Okay, this is something looks like this one. After the synchronization, how it look like? If I add any of the test case under this test set, the same test case need to be appeared under this test suite in the ADO as well. That's called a relationship. That's called a relationship. Okay. So now you understand what are the different fields are there. So let's we make a note of what are the different fields are there in the UiPath Test Manager and ADO, right? So let's see. So what data need to be go where? Okay. If I create a UiPath in UiPath Test Manager, if I create a test set, it has to create a test suite in the ADO. Okay. So whatever the fields which is being in my test set, where I have to render in my ADO test suite. So that we have to map. Okay, to map that particular one, I need a model, right? So what model? So what are the fields required here to map this particular map between these two test manager test set and also ADO test set? Okay, as discussed in our earlier video, what is the model? The model acts as a temporary variable where it transfers the data from one tool to another tool. Okay, whatever the fields are there here, the name field, it has to go via a model, to the other tool. I mean, like it will go from one tool to other tool via model. Okay, so what is the purpose of this particular model? This model can be used to, if you want to convert one data type to another data type, it will be get converted and it will be move that particular data to the recipient too. Okay, so let's create. So what I have to do here it is like whenever I create a test set in UiPath Test Manager, where the name field data has to render where it has to render. It has to render in title in ADO, right? In the ADO. And the same way, whenever I write something in description in UiPath Test Manager test set. It has to render in it has to render in description in ADO. In ADO. So if you understand, if I want to create a test set in ADO, how many mandatory fields are required? I required so I required title, state, area, iteration. But from UiPath Test Manager, how many fields are coming? Only one field data is coming. That is called name. The name we are passing to title. Is the title is only the field data is enough to create a test set in the ADO? So absolutely no. So whenever if I want to create a test set in the ADO, how many other fields I have to pass, other field data I have to pass from UiPath Test Manager to three more fields. One is called state, area, and iteration. So in such scenario, there is a concept called custom fields. So how to create that particular custom field? Let's see. So when you go to this particular project, you have an option called project settings. In this particular project settings, custom fields. In this particular custom field, you can create. So let's make this particular one as what is that particular field name? Here, when I open my test suite, the field name here it is like state. Okay, so I'll make it as a state. So it has to render, this particular custom field has to render under which object? So test set object. So I'm giving the test set object. And coming to here, so what are the fields are there? In progress, completed, in planning. So make the same. In progress, in planning, and completed, right? Completed. So the default field, I'll just give it as in progress. Okay. Say. So let's see whether it is being rendered under the test set or not. Okay. When I click on the test set, open existing test set, and click on the details where it is rendered. State is in progress. So let's see all these particular fields is being rendered. Okay. The same way, the other one is like area and iteration. So let's create those custom fields as well. Create. This one is area, test it, and save. There is no default value. We have to pass that particular string. Area is the one, and the next one, iteration, test set, save. So always, whenever the synchronization happens, we have a curiosity. So what is the ID of a test set is being created in the ADO? So whether it is being synchronized or not, how would I know? Right? In such scenario, if we can render the ID, where if my test set is being synced from UiPath Test Manager to the ADO, I can render that particular ID where it is being created. I mean, like in the ADO, their ID will be get created. Each test set has an ID. That ID, if I render in UiPath, you will get to know, okay, this is the test case is being synchronized to by ADO, and this is the ID of that particular test set. So to render that particular one also, I'm just creating one more custom field called ADO ID. ADO ID. See. So now we have these fields as well. If I go back to my integration, if I want to implement my integration, name is going to title in the ADO, description is going to description in the ADO, and what are the other fields we created in the UiPath Test Manager? We created the state to state. We have to link. Sorry, state to state. We have to link, and the other one, area to area. So the left side, the data is from UiPath Test Manager, and the right side data is from the ADO fields, and area to area. And one more thing, which we are creating area to area and iteration to iteration. And a new field which we created that is called ADO ID. ADO ID, right? The ADO ID has to come from ADO. ADO ID has to come from ADO. That is called ID. That is called ID. So that it will come from ADO. Which ID? This one. Test set ID. Test set or test suite ID. So this is how these are the mappings which we have to done in my test set integration. But I cannot directly link. Always in the task tab, you have to implement the integration by using the model. The model acts as a temporary variable or a temporary temporary variable or a temporary space. By using that particular one, we can transfer the data from one tool to another tool. So based on this, how many fields I have to create here in the model? One is name. It should be string. And the next one, description. Meaning description, it should be a rich text. What is the meaning of the rich text? Rich text meaning it will be taken multiple lines as well as as well the HTML tag formatting, and these all the things will be taken care. That's why we will give a rich text. The formatting for the formatting. So, and the next one, state. The state is a multi-select. It's a multi-select, meaning it's a single select, meaning it is a drop down, right? And the one, area. Exactly. Area is also a string. And the next one, iteration. It should be a string. It should be a string. And the next one, ADO ID. That is also a string. ADO ID. It's also a string. So let's see. Let's create the model. Leave, not locked up. Let's create a model, new model. That's name it as test set. Test set model. Let's create. So as discussed, I'm creating name, a string. And the next one, description. Description. It's a rich text because we have a formatting, such as like we will write multiple lines. So and also sometimes we will make it as a bold, and such kind of a formatting like HTML tags formatting, and these all the things will be a part of the rich text. Okay, let's type rich text. Rich text. Okay, and the next one is area. Area is a string, and the iteration, it's a string. And the next one, ADO ID, is a string. And the next one, state. So in this state, it's a single select. So if I use the single select, we have to give the fields. What are the fields are there? So in progress, in planning, and complete, apply. So we have successfully created a model, right? These are the only the fields which I need to synchronize from UiPath Test Manager to ADO, ADO to UiPath Test Manager, vice versa as well. Okay, be successfully. Let's see. Let's get started how to create the collection, and later we will see how to integrate these two. I have the test case we have been done on our last. So now we are going to create a new test set, right? So the test sets are container collections. So as I said, the definition says that a test set will group the set of test cases. So it's kind of a container. Okay, just click on the container collection where we have to choose the repository as UiPath Test Manager repo. So let's title UiPath Test Set Collection. Test set collection, and my project. So my project is training, Tasktop training. Okay, Tasktop training selected, done, and the container test set. So we created a model, right? Our model name is test set model, right? Test set model, and click on save. So go to the map fields. It's auto mapped automatically. So my name is going to name and test set model, and description to description, area to area, iteration to iteration, ADO ID to ADO ID. Okay, this is done. And if you see here the orange symbol, so the something mapping was not configured correctly. Let's map. Okay, so completed to completed, connect, in progress to in progress, connect, and in planning to in planning to in planning, connect. Okay, that's cool. I mean, like, let's save. Done. We see that error is disappeared. So this collection is being created. Okay, success. Okay, let's see. Go to the configure relationship. As we discussed, what is the relationship between a test set and a test case? A test set acts as a parent and test case acts as a child. Test set act as a parent and test case act as a child. So we have to configure that particular relationship. Okay, if you see here, assigned test cases. What is the data type here? It is mentioning relationships. The same test sets, test cases, which is being present in my UiPath Test Manager, need to be synced to ADO, need to be synced to ADO. So what I have to do if I want to synchronize the test cases, same test cases from ADO, UiPath Test Manager to ADO, we have to map this particular relationship. Do we have this uh, data type field is being present in the test set model? No, we do created only 6 fields. So there is no field called relationship fields. So if you want to synchronize the test cases, whatever the test cases which is being assigned under a test set to move to the ADO, we required this particular field. Let's create. Let's go to the test set model and create one more field called test cases. Test cases. So what is the data type here? Relationships. So we have two things, relationship and relationships. Relationships meaning if one to many. So here we are mapping many test cases under one test. So that's called relationships. So the many children is being part of one parent. So the relationships. So we have to use the relationships and click on save. Done. Okay, let's come here. So we the same the same field which I created in my test set model, it's been appeared over here. Select this one, and in this side assign test cases. So click here and just click on the connect. That's it. So what it will do, it is like it will synchronize the test cases which is being assigned under UiPath Test Manager test set, and the same test cases are being appeared in the ADO test suite. Okay, click on done. So we successfully created UiPath Test Manager test set collection. So the next part, it is like ADO test set collection. So let's mention ADO test set collection. So which repository? ADO repository. And what is the project? The test is my project. And just select and click on done. And the container test suite. We have to use test suite. Okay, test suite. And the container, we have to choose test set model. Test set model. Now the data is being present in our model. From that particular model, we have to pick the data from that particular model need to be transferred to your ADO. That's what we are going to do. And when you click on the save again, if you go, it's up here. Okay, so go to the map fields. What is being automatically mapped? Here the description to description it is came, and state to state it came. Okay, but what still area path? So in the ADO area path, it has to mapped with area. So this area is we created the model, right? In the model, we created a string variable. We have to connect with area and iteration path to iteration. Okay, connect. And what are the the red color it shows, right? It shows it's a mandatory. It's a mandatory field title. So where it has to go? I mean, like if I create a test set, the name has to go to the title, right? So here the name has to go to title. Okay, that's it. There's one. If you sorry, go to the title. So still we have a one mandatory field called parent test plan. So what is this particular parent test plan? Or what I have to pass to my parent test plan? If you observe, uh, if you observe every test case, test suite, I mean like every test set is be part of one plan, test plan. Okay. So my test plan name here it is like plan B, right? So this particular, whenever if I want to create any test set in ADO, it should be a part of one test plan. It should be part of this particular test plan. So what is the idea of this particular test plan? This is 3. If you see here, my test plan ID is 3. Make a note why we are picking. So if I create any test set in UiPath, it has to reflect in plan B test plan. That's what we are just informing to the Tasktop to create a test set under the plan B. Okay. So let's go. Here we will give a constant value. So not here. Click on the save. This is done. And this map build is done. Okay. Click on the configure connection. So as I said, so parent test plan and just choose the constant value where. So the test case created, the test set created in the UiPath where it has to reflect and which test plan it has to reflect. So I have to give what is my project name. The project name is test, and this is my connection. Okay. Under this particular one, under which test plan it has to reflect to my test plan. So the ID is 3, right? When I click on the constant, set the constant value. So I'm telling the Tasktop that if any test set created in UiPath Test Manager that need to be synced to this particular test plan. I'm just hard coding that particular value. And again, the other mapping is automatically bit configured. That is called, so whatever this is called relationship. If you do observe the test cases is a relationships field. Okay. So we created a relationship in the model, right? The same field we mapped here in the test cases. What this particular mapping do? So whatever the group of the test cases being mapped under one test set, the same group metadata it will be get picked up and it will be informed to the ADO. The ADO will also make the changes in the ADO side and make the test set with this list of the test cases. Okay, hope you understand. Okay, let's see. So we successfully completed the collection creation and let's see the integration part. Let's create the integration. So this is my existing integration, the test case integration. It's currently running. So now we are going to create the test set integration. Click on the new integration where it will ask what type of the integration you want to implement. So if I want to implement the test set integration, what should I have to choose here? My test set is a container type work item. So I have to choose container synchronization where I have to choose UiPath Test Manager repo. And what is the collection? Test set collection. In the right hand side, you have to choose ADO repo. The repo under that particular repo, what collection? ADO test set collection, which we created currently. Okay, let's make a test set. Let's name test set integration. Let's give a test set integration between UiPath and ADO. Okay, let's save. So it's saved. And still, after configuring this particular one, defaultly it will ask. So the first one, artifact creation flow. What is this artifact creation flow? How you want to implement the integration? Is it the two-way integration? I mean, like if you create some test set in the UiPath, it has to sync to ADO. And if you create some test suite in the ADO, it has to create in the test set. So the two-way creation or one-way creation, and it will ask which type of the integration you want to implement. Let's keep for time being, let's keep one-way creation. Just select this one. So if I create something in UiPath, it has to synchronize to ADU, not vice versa. I just choose the one way. Just click on the save. So done. And the next one, field flow. So we have been mapped all the fields, right? Whether these particular mapped fields are correct or not, you can cross check here. Field flow. Click on the field flow. If you see, the center one is the model, and the left side, the left side one are the fields which is being available in UiPath Test Manager test set, and the right side is ADO test set fields. If you see, the name will go to title, description will go to description, area will, whatever the area field, which area field data which is being passing, right? That passed data will be go to the area path, iteration to iteration, state to state, and assign test cases to assign test cases. If you see here, we have given a constant value. So what we are saying, if you are creating any test set, defaultly it has to go to Planview test set. Okay, test plan, sorry, Planview test plan. It has to go. So this looks cool, no issue. And the next one, container mirroring. So what is this container mirroring? It will tell like in which way of the synchronization has to be implemented. I mean, like the mirroring. So when you click on here, the one way, I mean, like UiPath to ADO synchronization, I have to implement. Click on save. Okay, and then click on done. So all things are done now. All the things are done, and just click run all, and just done. So what is my expectation here? It is like there is a one test set is already created, right? Test set created in the UiPath. This has to come in my ADO. This is my expectation. Does it come? Yeah. Test set created in the UiPath. It's synchronized. If you see, it is being synchronized. Test set created in the UiPath is being synchronized. Done. Okay. But if you do observe, we assigned a test case. But that did not reflect over here. Let's check, are there any errors been identified? So you have to click on the activity tab. See here the failed one. What it says, area path must be specified, iteration path must be specified, state must be specified, right? This is saying, I mean, like, so let's update this particular field under test set. Okay, let's go to the test set, the details, in progress, area should be test, iteration should be test. Okay, let's go to the Tasktop and prioritize this one. It's been processing. Success. Let's see. Let's reload this one. If you observe, test set created in the UiPath it came, and whatever the test cases, is being present under this test set, it is also come. I mean, like that relationship we have given, right? The same set of test cases which is being assigned under this particular test set, the same test cases being appeared in the ADO as well. If you see the test case, what is the test case which we have been assigned here? The test case created in the ADO, we mapped. So the same test case is also being present under this particular test set. Thanks for watching the video. Please do like and subscribe to my channel.